when you registered, we asked you why you reinvent work. And those of you who registered before a certain time may notice the word on your bag is actually the word you gave us when you registered. So we had to order the bags a few weeks ago, so if you registered late, you might have a random word that I selected for you, but we have given you the bag that corresponds to your word. And thank you, Workopolis, for those bags. But why I reinvent work is I think that right now we are experiencing the perfect storm for a complete revolution of the way we work. And it's made up of a number of factors. I'm going to speed through them, and I want to share a couple of stories. Economic pressures, they're still talking about the possibility of double-dip recession. This is scary, and it's causing us to do a lot more with less. Companies have been right-sizing for a while. I know I worked in a company that right-sized a couple of times every year, and everyone was doing a lot more than we ever had to before. Globalization is causing not only a war for customers, but also for talent. And we're all in this war. Technology is helping us to connect all around the world. Generation Y is messing everything up, right? What the hell? We're all wondering what to do with Gen Y. I actually believe it's not necessarily generational. It's about bigger shifts that are happening in the world, and they just happen to be the youngest generation in the workplace. But they do have different expectations, and they are less afraid of voicing them. I think a lot of their expectations are what we all share, though. Social media has disrupted everything, the way we communicate with everyone. It's changed who we trust with different messages. So Edelman does a trust barometer every year, and they ask, who do you trust? And trust in CEOs, sorry Tony, sorry Joe, CEOs around the table. Trust in you guys, down near the bottom. You're second from the bottom as far as who people trust. And trust in a regular employee or a person like me, who I can meet on social media, is raising every year. So when people ask about working conditions or employee engagement or what it's really like to work somewhere, the trust in a regular person or a regular employee is 3 times that of the CEO. So again, sorry. And social media has opened up access to all of these people. Mobile technology is on the rise. We all know, we've all got our phones today. And it's allowing us to work everywhere, which can be really great, but it's also affecting how much we work, right? There's no more 8 hours of labor, 8 hours of recreation, and 8 hours of rest. Who has that in their life every day, right? That doesn't happen anymore. The Center for Creative Leadership did a study a couple of years ago, and they found that if you have a smartphone, you're actually working 72 hours a week on average. So those of us who are in this room, I'm willing to bet we're working more than that. Those of us in this room are the disruptors of this world. Those of us in this room are the ones that are passionate about what we're doing, and we're working more than 72 hours a week. So there's this work-life merge. If we don't have time anymore to have my 8 hours of recreation, then damn it, you better give me some recreation, some meaning, some purpose, some more of what I used to get out of life at work. So there's this huge merge. We need to start thinking differently about how we're working and how we're managing work, how we're leading people. And we're seeing the impact in the engagement numbers. We've probably all seen Gallup's engagement polls. So I think the last one, 13% globally were engaged. 13% of people around the world are engaged in their work. We're a little higher here in Canada. I think it was 28%. And then there was 18% actively disengaged. So think about active disengagement. And I had a conversation with someone last night talking about an actively disengaged employee who, when a decision comes to the office, spreads why this decision is a bad decision, why we shouldn't trust where this decision came from, and spreads that amongst those people, right? So think about the people. 18% of our organizations are actively disengaged. They are spreading malicious things about our company and actually actively working against us. Imagine a football team that had these statistics. Imagine being the quarterback and you have 10 people on your team and you're throwing the ball to them or passing the ball to them. And you have 3 guys, 28%, 3 guys who are engaged. Okay, so I gotta find those 3 guys on the field because then I have 2 guys who are gonna run the ball the other freaking way, right? And then the other 50% are kind of like, yeah, I'm here, I'm not engaged, but I'm not actively disengaged. Like I might, if you pass it to me, I might, take a fall, but I'll kind of move a little bit, right? That team is not gonna get far. And that's the way we're working in our organizations today, and that is really sad. So when I think about these stories that I was hearing last night about this company and the different stories I hear all the time from leaders and organizations, culture is built from stories. And I wanted to share a couple of stories from my past so you can see maybe where some of my passion about culture and engagement comes from. And the first story comes from my first real job. Most people think of working in a restaurant as not a real job, but I was working in a restaurant and I was actually opening restaurants and managing restaurants, and this was one of the best times of my life. This was a team, we didn't have values written on the wall. No one told us what our corporate values were. We knew, though, that fun was the only option. We knew that every day when we came to work, we had to have fun with each other, with our guests, and that was just part of what we did. We knew that teamwork, the restaurant would fall apart without teamwork. So teamwork just was a value. We didn't have these written up on the wall. We knew that if managers didn't treat people right, they got let go. If managers had good numbers and they didn't treat people right, they got let go. If managers had bad numbers, people worked with them to help them improve their numbers. So there was this level of respect. It was through actions, though. It wasn't like someone wrote on a wall that these are our values and this is what we're going to do. We all just knew it. This was a really entrepreneurial organization. I came home with a story one time. We were opening up a restaurant. It was the day of opening, and I had gotten to the restaurant early. The night cleaners had not shown up. And when I got there, the president of the company and the vice president of operations, one of them was sweeping the floor, one of them was mopping the floor. The director of marketing was in the bathrooms cleaning the bathroom. And that's the way it was. We all just chipped in. Like, no one would have ever thought that we wouldn't do that. Later, this organization actually got bought by another organization, and I remember when it first happened, and we had to go through values training. And one of their values was, I think it was respect. And they gave examples like, when we have a meeting, everyone picks up their own cup, and when they leave the meeting, so not one person's not left cleaning up. And I thought, that's how you demonstrate that? Like, really? Like, I was surprised that we had to go through training on some really basic things that we had really strong values and had never done that. But, like, it was so different. So your values are really demonstrated in what you do. Later, I got into the corporate world. And this C word has come up a lot lately, and I don't know if it was just because it was nearing the summit and I'm hearing it more, but I had a conversation with someone the other day. She's retired. She had been working with, she was retired, but like many retired people do, they want to do some work. They want to have something to do every day. She joined a friend who had started a sales company, a marketing company, selling things. She joined them and was doing sales. The company was doing great. The company got bought by another company. And she said, yeah, I'm going to leave. It's too corporate. Too corporate. Corporate just means that you're incorporated. Like, how did it become a bad word? But you hear it all the time. Corporate means red tape. Corporate means meetings. Corporate means analysis paralysis. Corporate means I can't do the meaningful work I want to do. So we're now living in this corporate world, and I think we need to shift what that means, because work sucks. 4 years ago, I woke up at work and I was like, wow, work sucks. And I quit, and I left, and I started my own business because I was like, life is way too short. And if I'm working 70 or 80 hours a week, I better be doing work I love. So I started my own business. And I'm seeing this trend a lot. People who are right-sized out of companies are starting their own businesses because they don't want to go back to that corporate world. Millennials are not as afraid of entrepreneurialism as we all were, right? There's a big shift. So either we need to start involving them and engaging them differently, or we need to be ready to have a lot of just contract work because we're not going to be able to find those people and engage them. In Japan, there's a word called karoshi. Has anyone heard this word? Karoshi. What does it mean, Derek?
Dying from overwork. Literally dying.
They have a word for that because it happens so much. I am in fear that we are nearing the time that we will need a word for that. I would much rather join the Netherlands, Sweden, Finland. They have a word, I'm going to totally mess this up with my Finnish accent, arbetsglad, which means happiness at work. 3 countries in the entire world have this word, happiness at work, because it's important, because it is a huge part of our life. So I would like to move to the place where we have a word that means happiness at work, because it is so important. I believe in living full out, and I believe that when we're working so much, we need to be able to live full out and bring our full selves to work. So why do I do a summit? I get asked this all the time. It's like my little passion project on the side. I have full-time work with my fabulous clients, some of whom are in the room. And this is kind of my little side project, to bring 99 people together once a year and talk about culture and reinventing work. I do it because I'm passionate about it. I do it because I love the passion in this room. I do it because I see the potential and the possibilities when we get 99 people together, all excited and passionate about the same thing, and then going back to 99 organizations to make change. I do it because I don't want to change one organization at a time with my work. I want to change every organization. I want to change work for every single person. So that's why I invest so much of my time into bringing people together once a year for this. Last year, actually 2013, so last year we took a year off. I thought, I don't have the time to do a summit. I couldn't bear not doing it this year, so I did it. In 2013, I asked everyone at the end of the day, what's the word, how are you feeling right now as you're leaving from the day? And these are the words that came up: inspired, changing, energized, energy, enlightened, engaged, excited. And I love that. But there's a problem with it because you go back to work and you have your work to do. So I really, really encourage you to take today. It's Twitter friendly. Please tweet all day. Have fun connecting with people, low tech, high tech, all of that. But take today to connect with the people in the room, connect with the thoughts you're having, engage with culture and thinking about your own workplace and what you can take back. Really make a plan to create change. We've created the day with some thought leadership and examples in the morning, and moving through to like technology that might help you in the afternoon, to ways of working, to a collaboratory in the end of the day that you should leave with some clear actions that you could possibly take back. And I really, really hope that you're able to come up with some things you can actually implement so we can start to see change. Together we can change the world of work. The world of work, right? And I invite you to take today to sort of start rewriting your culture story.